On every other episode, we interview someone who represents a skeptical organization, group, or project, either from a certain European country or stretching across borders. Although today's guest is not based in Europe, the project she initiated in 2011 under the name Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia is one with a truly international scope, and several skeptics from around Europe have joined since in order to help the international community of Wikipedia editors in reaching a multilingual audience. As a leader of this secret cabal, she has brought together many young skeptical activists from a number of different countries, and she's spoken at several international skeptic events. Susan Gerbic, also known by many as the Wikipediatrician, welcome to the show.
Hey son, hey son.
You can't do that, Susan. You have to use your local greeting, Californian whatever.
Okay, here it is. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
I love that.
That's a good one.
Yo vivo en Salinas, California, so nosotros hablamos en español a lot of the time. Mucho tiempo. We speak in English and Spanish half and half. That's just life. Half and half.
Okay. Right. How's your Spanish, by the way?
It's así. I speak Spanish okay at work. I'm fine at work, but I don't understand it very well. I don't. Outside of work, I'm kind of like, what? So I'm okay at work.
So you don't edit in Spanish?
Oh, no, but I can add photos, and I mean, I've edited in languages. I don't even know what the language was. I've added photos.
I can add photos in Japanese.
Yeah, I've done. I did one in one language when I was in Australia. I just pulled up a page at random and added Eugenie Scott's photo to a page, and I have no idea what language it was. It started with an S. We thought it might be Sanskrit or something. It was some. I never did go back and look and see what it was, but it was some language that I have no idea what it was. But I just added the photo, and you do it. So I've edited in Arabic and all kinds of stuff, but it's just a photo, nothing exciting. I mean, a photo is exciting, but don't get me wrong.
How long have you been an editor?
I think I started in 2000 I made my very first edit, which was like just a grammar thing I fixed, I think in probably 2007. And then in 2009 is when I really started thinking about it as a skeptical project, or at least for myself. And then it exploded after that.
But how did it come about? The project itself.
The project, good Lord. Okay, so the story is, and the more times I tell it, the more real it starts to sound. I was on a cruise, the JREF, that's the James Randi Educational Foundation.
So jealous.
Yeah, we were on a cruise. Hey, that's what credit cards are for, I'm telling you. So I went on a cruise, and Tim Farley, he was did a little mini, a presentation on editing Wikipedia and why it's important as a skeptical resource, and it's a skeptical thing, and why that was very important. And I took notes. I totally didn't think much of it. And then as a photographer, I had taken a photograph of Brian Dunning, who is the Skeptoid podcast host. And I took a photo of him, and I went and I uploaded it to Wikimedia Commons, added it to his Wikipedia page, and then said, gosh, that's a nice photo, but what a crappy looking Wikipedia page. So I just started trying to learn how to edit. I edited on my own. I tried to figure it out, and trial and error, made a lot of mistakes. And I don't really understand written directions really well, so I'm not the typical Wikipedia editor. I think most Wikipedia editors are great at reading text and understanding and playing around with it a little bit. I don't do text very well. I'm not a big math kind of person or code or anything like that. So I finally figured it out after making a lot of mistakes. And then there was this invention called Facebook. Have you heard of Facebook? And I started putting things up on Facebook saying, hey, I just edited this. Hey, I just did that. Oh, wow, check this out. And then people were saying, Susan, what are you working on next? Well, how'd you do that? What'd you do? And so then I had like a group of people that were editing with me on email. We just kind of emailed each other back and forth. And then eventually people said, hey, why don't you talk about this? And so I did a little skeptic camp, and then I did a little lecture, and then I applied to do a paper presentation at TAM 2011. Well, it was TAM 9 from outer space. And I did a blog and I did a lecture. And then people started taking it seriously and started joining me. And then it kept growing. And then in 2012, I said, you know what? I am done with this English stuff. We have got to get this out beyond English. I'm tired of this American and, well, English-centric world that we seem to be stuck in. It's far too important to stay with English. And so I tried to get people interested in editing Wikipedia in other languages, but to make their own kind of little group. And nobody wanted to take the initiative. Nobody seemed to want to do that. And I said, all right, well, I'll do it. I don't really speak any other languages, but I'm sure I can figure out how to do this. And that's kind of how it happened. The next thing you know, the ESP is born. Oh, good Lord. You guys, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. You have no idea how proud I am. Because part of the group, the reason we were going to, my goal is to build our people, to make our, to find the leaders in our community, to find people, inspire them, get them started on their own projects, move them along.
I think we owe it all to you, definitely. Ultimately, because me and Andres met through Wikipedia, the GSoW. And of course, I actually went to QED because of you, Susan, where I met Pontus. Pontus, did I meet you at QED?
I think so, yeah.
Yes,
we did.
yes, you did.
The same here. And the way Pontus and I met was that we went out for a lunch.
We went to McDonald's.
Together at McDonald's.
What happened? What happened is
that's how we started talking.
I started up at Manchester. I arrived in Manchester. Remember, my
At
bag
QED.
was lost. Yeah, QED. My bag was lost. And I had my passport, my camera, everything was gone. And I left it in a taxi. And so we arrived, and then Andras came up to me and he said, "Hey, I'm one of your editors. I'm your editor from Hungary." And you just barely had started. You were just kind of like, just barely learning anything and just kind of at the background. And then Pontus came up to me and I guess he'd said, "Hey, Susan Gerbic, we've talked online," or I don't remember what we'd done. And I said, "Wonderful. Let's go get McDonald's down the road." And my son Sterling was with us, and we walked down to McDonald's, and you guys hadn't met each other before. And I took a couple photos and I said, "All right, you guys, we've got the most brilliant people here around this table. Let's solve the world's problems. What do we need to do to make, to change minds? What should we be doing? What should we be working on?" And we sat and we talked, remember?
Yes.
And
Yeah,
we came
for
up with
quite long.
ideas. And then then we went back to the conference, and then Jelena and her husband Brad, who's super sweet. I really like your husband too. He's a sweetie. Yeah, and then you were just there hanging out. You were so much fun, and we just hung out, and and then here comes Leon and other people hanging out, and Peter. And my goal is to inspire people to do more. And I think a lot of the way of doing that is to introduce them to other people and make connections. And because I find that that a lot of people are shy, or they don't quite know how to start. They don't really know how to do that. I'm not that way. I'm like, no. Okay. Pretend you've already gotten past it.
So shy, Susan. So
I know.
Shy.
I think let's get past the shyness. Okay. Let's stop that. All right. Let's move on. All right. Let's just move on. And
You can hear it a little bit from the name, Guerrilla Skepticism on Wikipedia, where that sounds a little bit, even hostile in a way. Where did that name come from?
well, Mark Edward and I, who you met at QED also, we'd gotten a little tired of the big groups not doing anything. They were so cautious about things. And so Mark's more like, let's get on the streets and let's do something. And so he's more interested in, he's a performance artist. That's what his degree was in, is performance art. So it was getting out in the streets and doing things. So we started doing things that were, he called them more like a guerrilla thing. Like, you're one or two people and you're just, trying to do something instead of waiting for the big groups to try to, discuss it to death and finally talk themselves out of doing anything. He's more of like, let's do a homeopathy 1023 thing, or let's infiltrate that psychic, or let's do this, let's do that. So everything that we were doing at that time, we tended to call it guerrilla skepticism or guerrilla skepticism mainly, because it was one or two people working maybe in a tiny group, And they might have been no-name people. Nobody knew who they were. And they were just kind of saying, all right, we're tired of this. And, and causing trouble. Even if you couldn't change everything, at least you could cause some trouble. And that was the way we looked at it. Because his idea is that when you're going after a psychic, or what we call grief vampires, they're performers. And the more you can upset them, the better. You don't go after the audience. You don't go after the believers. You are going after the performer to knock them off their game, to make them shake them up a little bit so that they realize that you're invisible. You could be in the audience. You could be anybody. You could be the person they're doing a reading for right now. And you get them off their edge, and then they are going to be less likely to maybe do group shows. They're going to be less likely to do other things because they don't know when the next infiltration is going to come from.
So, but isn't there a risk that you are perceived? You can be perceived like a very, what's the word? Bad person, somebody who's just out to destroy for others. I mean, isn't is the backfire effect or so?
Oh, that's cool. Backfire all you want, because my actions speak louder than my word. My actions speak louder than the word guerrilla skepticism. Anybody who wants to look into our project, which anybody in the paranormal community has not done, they are absolutely inept at looking at our edits, at thinking it through. They're totally unable to do that. It's like evidence, Go look at it. It's right there, 2 clicks away. Oh, no, we don't going to do that. We're just going to believe natural news or whatever. So it could be perceived as that. But at this point, I've been doing it several years, and I could care less. Let them be scared of us. And that's what it is. They're scared into it. Because the same apathy that is in the skeptic community is prevalent in the paranormal community. That's no problem. In fact, maybe more so. So I'm not worried about it. Let them come get me.
Okay.
Let them be afraid.
But what about the skeptic community side of it? I mean, we all know how you brought us together and how we felt about joining guerrilla skepticism on Wikipedia. But how's GSoW received in the skeptic community at large? So I would still refer back to what Pontus asked about the name, how it sounds. Do you experience anything like the name putting off people from the skeptical community?
I haven't since. We've had 2 detractors, I believe, and they're both gone. They're both people who said a couple things about us. Maybe we wrote a response. They looked like they were looking for something to complain about. And since then, I've had no blowback from our community that I can think of. I mean, we got a picture of a gorilla face, How can you take us seriously? I mean, that's our logo, is a giant gorilla,
Yeah.
And we're playing off the words gorilla and gorilla, the 2 different spellings. And no, I haven't had anything in probably 3 years anybody said anything about it. In fact, the Wikipedia editors that are non-GSoW, like the admins and things, they're cool. They're like, cool. Fine. Bring them on. Add more of your GSoW editors. We need them.
Is that really so?
Oh, yes.
So that's how they react?
Oh, yeah. The admins know completely who I am. I've received emails from many admins saying, hey, if you need something, let me know. We're on your side. I can't always, say anything about it, but you guys are well trained. You guys know what you're doing. Please add more of your editors. We need them badly.
Guerrilla skepticism on Wikipedia is a closed group, and you have to sort of join the group and stuff like that and start training and things like that. So I think some of the skeptics in the movement kind of see it a little bit secretive, which is completely unreasonable, because obviously I know that because I've gone through the whole process and I know it's nothing to do with being secretive or being whatever. Well, is there some criticism coming from within the community of skeptics and Wikipedia editors, people not being included in this special circle? I mean, I guess we all, this is a human nature to feel to be included and stuff like that. But what do you think?
Nothing, nada, not in years. We've had nobody who's felt excluded. We've had no one who has written to us saying, you know, why didn't you accept us in the group, or that you guys are distancing yourself from everyone. I've had nothing. In fact, it's pretty much the opposite. People tend to look at us as if we are, I don't want to use the word star, but I can't think of anything else, you know, that we're like an elite group and they would like to join us, but they really don't think that they could manage the time to do it. That they see us as like maybe they see us as like a SWAT team. I don't know if that would be a word that people in Europe would understand, but like the elite group, like you send them in and this, what would be a good term?
Kind of a hit squad.
Kind of, yeah. I think that's what we're seen as. We're much, 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 much milder than that, but it's fine. I don't mind having that reputation. People see us perceive us as this group of people who are like on it, and we're just like 24/7 spending our lives editing Wikipedia. You know, it's like, really? Okay, no, I have a life too. But no, I have not had any concern about that. In fact,
Pushback, yeah.
no pushback at all. In fact, what we are seeing is that people are a little intimidated because they know that if they contact me, that I'm going to try to recruit them, or I'm going to guilt them into not being slacktivists, or being, you know, they'll say, if they say to me, well, how come this page is not in good shape? Or how come this still says this? Or why hasn't your team done that? I would just, and I will do this, I'll say, well, when are you joining? What are you going to do about it? So, and they're like, oh dear, oh my God, no, not me. So they back off. So I don't hear any criticism. No.
But if they do join, what can they expect? How do you organize the work for so many international members across the globe? How do you do it? How does it work?
So what we do is we've tried all kinds of different things, and this is a process of trying to organize people, especially in other languages. It's very difficult. We tried the Facebook groups, that failed. We tried a forum, that failed. Now we're back to Facebook, but with one group, and what we do is we have people come and they write to me either by email or by private message on Facebook or any other way that they're comfortable learning. And let's say they write me an email and they say, hey, Susan, you know, I speak Spanish and I also speak English and I really want to work on your team. And, you know, what are we going to do? And I'll say, okay, great. We're going to start your training and we're going to stay on this exact same email thread that you just sent me. And we'll go back and forth on that email thread. I have lessons that they go through. I handle all the training because I just love training. And there's tons of feedback. It's self-paced. People get to pick the assignments that they want. Before I used to assign things to people, and then I put them into a group on Facebook. It's a private, secret group. Yes, it is secret, and it is called the Secret Cabal.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really scary. And so on that group, you're there with your peers, and you just interact, and you post threads, and you say, "Look, I don't know how to completely fix this page. Can somebody help me with it?" And somebody goes, they give them feedback, and you go back and forth just like you would. It's just that it's a private forum and nobody cares. Like I say, I've never heard anybody probably in the last 3 years say anything about us being private. And like I say, they don't want to question me about it because they know I'm just going to put them in and then I'm going to say, okay, get started. It's kind of that thing. Yeah. So how do I stay organized? Let's say I have somebody who is editing in German and they would probably start a thread on the Facebook Secret Cabal in German saying, I'm working on the translation of this page and I want to add some content here. And then any other German speakers would just respond in the thread. And then they'd go back and forth talking about whatever it is they want to do. So you have one thread on Facebook devoted to that one particular page. But mostly everybody speaks English. That is the only downfall of this group, is that I can't train somebody who doesn't speak English well, and read and write at least. And we tried to grow groups like in Hungarian that was just specifically for Hungarian, coming out with Hungarian training documents, Hungarian training everything, all that was in training in Hungarian, it's too much. It's absolutely too much to ask one person to completely write these documents, make these videos in that language, and to edit from, running a team. So we had to condense, and I put back all the responsibility back on me. And I think it's better that way. People are less stressed. And then people are able to go and do some amazing things like what you three have done on this podcast. And other people will be able to do things as well. A lot of the people who came from GSoW was a starting point. I think GSoW was and is a place where people come together. There are people who were listening to podcasts all over the world who did not have a lot of other friends in the skeptic community. And then they come to GSoW, and we were so friendly and we're so outgoing, and we introduced them to things so that they were able to, again, branch off and be the awesome doers of the community. Even if you can't continue to edit for us continually, most people seem to have gone off into their own new thing.
I just want to say that I didn't even know before the GSoW that there is a skeptic community. I mean, I've been listening to SGU for a while, and I can't even know how. I can't remember how I came across that podcast. And then I got involved with editing Wikipedia, and then went to a conference, and I thought, like, where was I all these years? I missed out on so many interesting talks and meeting so many interesting people. But I didn't even know about this, And then, of course, I met all these wonderful people, and it's so fulfilling. In the things that you discover, and you learn every single day about everything, just the world. That doesn't matter. It doesn't. If you keep your mind open and you're willing to learn about the world and the reality and science and whatever.
Yes, we're trying to improve Wikipedia. That is definitely our goal. But my personal goal was to make us more of a community and to get people doing the things that they want to do, and even things they didn't even know they could do.
Yeah.
That was it. Grow our people. That's what I wanted to do.
So how many editors are involved in GSoW at the moment? And how many of them are not English speaking?
We probably have, at the most we've ever had was maybe 100 people.
Wow.
And a lot of those people are signed on, don't finish training and that kind of thing. So now we have probably 60 people in the Secret Cabal. Of those 60, probably 20 are can edit in other languages. Whether those 60 people are actually working on GSoW at any point in any time is probably unlikely. It's maybe closer to 10 people overall are doing anything. But they come and go. Like you have some people in the group that are teachers and or different kinds of things, and they'll seasonally come in and they'll say, okay, I've got 3 weeks. I'm going to work on this. And then that you don't hear from them much for a long time. So there's not very many of us, really. But then it's hard to manage. I mean, I cannot imagine a Facebook thread or a Facebook secret group with 200 or 300 people in there that were active. Oh my gosh, we would you couldn't even follow the conversations. No. I trained probably 6 people at a time, something like that.
Do you still do all your training yourself?
Yes. And then everybody else kind of self-trains each other by posting in the Secret Cabal. They'll say if they have a question, other people answer the question. So we're always training each other. There's constant training. I always learn from my people. But the initial training is always completely done through me. It's a lot of work.
You mentioned it briefly, but how is it done? When someone joins GSoW, do you accept skeptics with no experience in editing Wikipedia whatsoever, or are they sometimes experienced to some extent, but they need kind of pushing towards the direction of skepticism, or how is training actually done?
Okay, so to answer that question, most people join us have no training whatsoever. They have never edited Wikipedia before. A lot of them are very intimidated. People who are currently Wikipedia editors, with some skill, they rarely join our group. And I don't necessarily want them to join the group because our philosophy, our style is very, well, I don't know if I want to say very, but it is different from a normal editor, because a normal Wikipedia editor edits on their own. They don't get feedback. They don't discuss what they're doing with other editors. They make their edits, they put them up on Wikipedia, they move on to another project. That's how most editors do it. They don't have a social interaction with other editors. They don't know the other editors' names. In our group, we're very social. We know each other's names. We're all friends on Facebook probably, and we have a different style. I don't use the jargon, which I think is a detriment. That's one of my things is I've never memorized all the jargon that happens on Wikipedia. I explain things with real examples, and I give tons of feedback. I use things like I say, that thingy, that thingy right there, here, this one right there. I don't call it by its official name because I think that's really, it's a learning curve and people get turned off by it. So it's possible that people who already are very good Wikipedia editors would not want to train with me because I think outside of the box a lot. And I know that's one of those terms that people use that gets really kind of annoying. She says, oh, think outside the box. But really, we do it that way because I don't know the correct way of doing it. So I will try to find an alternative way of doing it. We're more likely to look for a roundabout way of making something happen. And I think that that would probably be frustrating for somebody who's a normal Wikipedia editor. With that said, they need us because I think we're pushing them because we're trying to find ways of doing things a little differently. I mean, of course, we're doing the same code and we don't break the rules. We're just pushing the envelope a little further. And I think that there are a lot of people who have attempted to edit Wikipedia and got frustrated with it. Their edits were deleted, or they felt alone, or they didn't get any feedback, or lots of those things. And those people will join the project. They already know how to edit Wikipedia, but they'll go through the training with us. And I think they're more social. They want to be interacting and talk about a page that they're editing, or they're editing it and they say, oh, look, I found this really funny thing, or oh, check this out, or what do you guys think about this? It's a discussion. It's a social thing in a lot of ways. And we talk about how many views each page gets. And we talk about the impact and other ways of spreading that page out to other pages so that there's more views. Normal Wikipedia editors do not do any of that.
Yeah, but on Wikipedia, there are still talk pages for different Wikipedia articles, or there are the wiki projects. There is also a wiki project skepticism. So what is the main reason for not using Wikipedia as a platform for internal communication?
Oh, okay. So when I first tried to join Wikipedia and take it seriously and start doing this, I found those skepticism groups. I found those things. I put my name on the little list and said, hey, I'm right over here. I'm over here. I want to help. And I put my name under all these other people's names, and I never got a message. They're dormant. Unless you have an inspiring, motivated, crazy person to lead the group, nobody's going to move forward. Because you have to have somebody who's a little bit like me, who's pushy, who's like, hey, what are you doing over there? Come on, what are you working on this week? You have to have somebody who's a little bit of an annoyance, because otherwise they're just sit around and they wait for somebody to tell them what to do. And when you join these groups, you have to very much be self-motivating. And people need that. You get distracted. There's things on TV, there's video games to play, and those are much more enticing than, pulling up a Wikipedia page. So you have to have someone like me. And those groups have, they have no personality. Nobody knows each other. There's no interaction. There's no really any joking around. There's a little bit, but it's clinical. And then I didn't even understand what the heck they were talking about. You read the pages. I'm like, okay, well, all right, what? And so they're dormant for the most part. They're dormant. because there's not a person or a group of people who are running it, pushing it, and there's no friendliness.
Is there any specific language that you feel is really, really something that you would want, it would be highest on your wish list? I know that Bengali, I think, is the 7th largest language in the world, but I don't know if that's the criterion to search for different languages. And how do you recruit new editors?
Okay, so I never go after editors. I never go and say, hey, you speak German, I want you to join my group. I want people to come to me. I do not want to go to them and ask them. I would love to go and lecture to a community and say, please, 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 we're looking for editors if you think that you'd be interested in this, because it's a huge commitment. And then you have to put up with me. And that's a huge commitment too. So I don't go after editors at all. So I want to do podcasts, blogs, speaking engagements, radio spots, anything of the sort where I'm speaking to the community. That's how I go after people. I do a lot on Facebook. I'm not such a Twitter person, but a promoter on Facebook. I try not to guilt people into it, but put it this way, don't bitch to me about anything and then, about how bad things are, and then tell me that you're not doing anything. You could see them on Facebook and they're playing video games and stuff like that. It's like, really? You don't have any time? You want to do this? You don't have any time, but you're playing Farmville or Candy Crush, right? Really? Okay. Just shut up about it already. I'm not a kind person for people who make excuses. And then if you're going to be busy, if you say you're busy, be busy. If you say, I'm just not that interested, okay, great. That's fine. But don't tell me that you're going to do something and then you make excuses saying, I can't do it because I'm too busy. And then you find out later that they were binge watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer or something like that. It's like, look, we got real education to do. So as far as languages, I would really like to see some languages in Chinese languages, Mandarin, all those different things. I have nothing like that. But I think that's serious. And I think we're not doing even slightly enough for the Spanish language. It is almost dormant. There's so much education that needs to be done in the Spanish community, Spanish-speaking community. There's a lot of ground to cover. Germany's only so big. France is only so big. Portugal's only so big. But you look at the space and how many people speak Spanish and Chinese, or the different Chinese dialects, and we're not even slightly attempting them. I have like 5 Spanish-speaking editors, and they're doing what they can. But good Lord, there is so much to do. Where are they? Yes, the Spanish people, awesome, fantastic. They're doing things there. I get invitations for Skeptics in the Pub for Madrid, and I'm so cool about that. But they're not going out and doing the things that I think that should be done. There's no Spanish-speaking Skeptic podcast, is there?
Not that I know of, but...
There isn't. Is there a blog? I mean, there's maybe a couple.
Yeah, there is.
Is there a magazine?
Yes, there is. It's the Skepticals magazine. Just came out, the latest issue.
I hope to be proved wrong, because we used to have a magazine in Spanish called Pensar, which means to think.
Yeah.
And that was run by Center for Inquiry, and they had to get rid of it because they couldn't afford it.
Obviously, we have more of a European focus, so we would love to see more Wikipedia editors speaking many different languages from Europe. If they turn up to join the group, could you deal with all that? So could you deal with many different groups in different languages?
Yeah.
Among your editors?
I don't think that'd be a problem at all.
So you would have the capacity to do that?
I don't. The only limitations I have currently are not being able to train somebody who doesn't have really good English comprehension and reading and writing. We do have some editors, I think they're in Spanish mostly, that have some, they're not quite, their grammar's not perfect. They're probably a little shy about speaking, but they can kind of get through the translations and things like that. I have that already. That's fine. And we make it work because they can translate it to such an extent. They can get the code, they can get things translated, they can do the writing, and then we can give the the page to another editor whose language is much stronger, and then they can fix it. And that isn't a problem at all. We don't, several of our editors really have limited English, but they know enough to be able to train. And like I said, I am not concerned at all about their grammar. I mean, I barely speak English. My grammar, my spelling are horrible. So, but somebody's always looking at it before it's published.
Yeah.
So, when somebody's having a conversation with me and they're writing in English and they're just having a conversation on Facebook with our secret cabal, nobody ever stops them and corrects them and says, "Oh, you used the wrong tense here," or whatever. Nobody cares. It's just, we're just friends editing together and we're talking. And before it's made live, somebody will say, "Okay, well, we should probably look over that page and have somebody who's correct it and get all the grammar corrected." And then they publish it, and nobody cares. Just as long as the final product is done, as long as their heart's in it and they're doing their work, bring them on. I've not gotten to a point where I have too much to do. In fact, I'm retiring in 3-4 months. I'm going to have zillions of hours of free time. So, all the 40 hours a week I was working for the last 34 years are gone. So I've got another 40 hours I can put into this project.
So bring it on.
Oh, yeah, guys around Europe, that's your time of joining.
And that's kind of the thing. I'll sit down with anybody, anywhere, at any time, and we'll work it through. And one other thing I've been doing lately is I've been trying to do more editing publicly. On the YouTube channel, you'll find there's some videos. I don't know if you've heard of Let's Play, where people sit down and they play a video game and they talk and you can watch their screen.
Yeah.
And they've got millions of people who watch those Go plays. So I've started making my own videos of me editing Wikipedia and with my voice. And somebody can sit and watch me edit Wikipedia. If you learn, that's great. If you're just interested in my voice, cool. If you want to use it to learn English better, don't listen to me because, like I say, my English is kind of not the best. But people are going to start thinking I'm not a Native American, right? I keep talking about my English skills. So I'm born and raised here in California, you guys. But what were we saying? Oh, yeah, bring them on.
We've talked a lot about how your work is organized, how everything is being done, how you would like to see more editors joining in. But what are you actually doing with the group? So what are the topics you as a group work on?
I want people to work on the projects, the topics that interest them. But we tend to do a lot of we got your wiki back things where we're working on pages of people. It's so much easier. Like your podcast, this one, the ESP, you interview Europeans who have been involved in the skeptic community for a long time. So what we can do is we could take this podcast and we could turn around and we could use the information that you guys get off of from the questions you ask, and I will turn around and we could put it on their Wikipedia page. That is what we do a lot of. It's called backwards editing. So we're trying to support our spokespeople first. We're trying to really get the skeptical pages done. Leon has done a lot of work on, and you, Andras, have done a lot of work on the skeptics, the European skeptics groups, and to get these pages written for the skeptical spokespeople in Europe, in English and in their native language and any other languages we can possibly translate them into. That is what we've been focusing on for the last few years because that gives us a good background. Because once those people have Wikipedia pages, then we can use their words to write better Wikipedia pages.
So you mentioned Leon Korteweg from the Netherlands, right? Mm-hmm. He's a prolific editor, and I've worked with him on a few small projects. And one of the things that is so reassuring and so encouraging about editing, even if you're not an experienced editor, is that you have other people backing you up. They are there to proofread your work before you publish it and everything. So that's a great kind of work.
So Susan, do you know what your reach is with the project? Like how many people sort of know about GSoW and how many people you're reaching?
Okay, great question. So on Facebook, I'm pretty prolific. I hear from people all the time that say that they know of me, or know of the project, they follow us, and we're really big in a lot of different areas. I just got an Egyptian editor. He just finished training. He says that he listens to me on skepticality. And I'm going to be speaking in New Zealand. I have some fans there, enough that they're going to be sending me to New Zealand in December to do a lecture for their conference. I just finished doing Australia. So apparently there are people out there who are really following the project. They love the project. I hear only good things about it. And as far as measuring the impact that we're doing, we have a project that we have not released yet, but it's behind the scenes, so publicly you can't look at it because we're still working on how to get non-English pages onto something we're calling Stat Badger, StatBadger. And this is a way of looking at how many views each Wikipedia page makes from the time that it is created live. By GSoW takes responsibility for it. So, I mean, somebody else could obviously edit it after we're done with it, and lots of people do. But from the time we have been heavily involved in a page, creating it, or improving it, like the Hungarian Skeptic page, or the European, what's the organization called? ESO?
EXO, the European Council of Skeptical Organizations.
Right. So we've written that page. So we can watch how many views that Wikipedia page has received since the inception of its creation. And if we look at only the English pages, we're over probably 2 million views since starting.
Wow.
We haven't added the non-English views yet because we have to get the software written correctly so that we can find that, because you've got characters that are non-English characters that are used that have to be recognized. Each Wikipedia page, like if you look at a Wikipedia page, and Jelena, you know this, a Wikipedia page for Jerry Andrus or Neil deGrasse Tyson or whatever, in English is not the same name as it would be in Russian. Character is totally different. So we haven't released that yet, but we know that millions of people have read our work in the last few years.
Mm-hmm. That sounds interesting.
So you mentioned you're going to be in New Zealand in December. Are there any other conferences or speaking events where one can see you coming up?
Oh, yes. CSICon.
Yeah.
CSICON. That is going to be held in Las Vegas this October, right around Halloween. I'm going to be doing a workshop there. And really excited about this because CSICon, I've been affiliated with CSICon for many years. They've been huge supporters of GSoW and of myself personally, as had JREF, the James Randi Educational Foundation. JREF is no longer a thing. And so CSICon is pretty much incorporating a lot of the things that used to happen at TAMS or the Amazing Meeting, the JREF thing. And they're kind of taking on that feeling. So that's where I'm going to be next. That's going to be in October. That's super exciting. And then I'm going to go to New Zealand. And I plan on going to more than just the conference. I want to be, my life goal, one of the things I enjoy the most is if I could just go sit in an area that has good tables, good lighting, it's nice and warm, something to eat, something to drink next to me, and I have my laptop open and somebody comes and sits with me and says, can you explain to me why this is this way and how I could fix this and what are you doing and why is it like this? That is probably, I could spend 8 hours doing that, and at the end of the day, I would feel like I had a happy day. Just sitting with people who are interested in Wikipedia and why pages look like they look. What does this mean? Or I would look at something maybe they're doing and they would say, I've written this. Can you tell me, give me some feedback on it? That makes me happy. That and cats and gardens and
Great.
chocolate.
Great.
And talking to people via Skype.
I've told you guys, I love you people. Absolutely love you. I would send you, you're on my Christmas card list forever and ever, okay? I'm so proud of what you're doing.
Thank
But
you.
what concerns me is that this Wikipedia project is so important. And you have people on week after week, and I listen to every one of your episodes, maybe more than once. And darn it, if they don't come on here and they start talking about how they want to do this or how they're doing that, how they're putting out a brochure, how they're doing this and that. In my opinion, the thing they need to do first is to make sure that the Wikipedia pages are right. They're correct in whatever language they're in.
Mm-hmm.
So like, let's just say, let's use the word Klingon, because I don't want to offend any specific country or any specific language. But if
Are you sure it's wise to offend the Klingons?
bring them on. Okay, so if somebody has a Klingon skeptics group and they are telling me that, they would like to, do outreach, and they want to grow their group, and they want to educate people who speak Klingon, okay, I'm 100% behind them. But if they really want to do education, the first thing they need to do is look at Wikipedia. What is written in Klingon about like the top 10 subjects? Homeopathy, psychics, climate change, all the top 10 things. And they might be different for Klingon than they would be for some other language, right? Because you might have a specific psychic that is haunting your community. Like the Norwegians have a psychic that's really influencing the princess of Norway. Her name is Lisa Williams. So does Lisa Williams have a Wikipedia page in Norwegian? And if it does, is it in really good shape so that the people who speak Norwegian are going to go to Wikipedia, because that's where they're going to go. That is the first place they're going to go. Does she have a Wikipedia page with all the information that people need to know? How is it that she appears to be real? How is it that she appears to be able to read people's minds? Why is the princess so influenced by this person? Those things need to be done first. I think that's the priority that everybody should be doing. Skeptics in the pub, because of course we need our community. That is extremely important to grow our groups. But the second thing that they need to be doing is they should get together and they should say, okay, you guys, what is the topics that are really haunting our community? And then they say, okay, what are the top 5 Wikipedia pages we should be looking at? Okay, somebody needs to go and read those Wikipedia pages and see if they're in good shape or if they're giving a bunch of pseudoscience and nonsense out to the public. Because it doesn't matter if you put out a brochure, a podcast, a magazine article, or even a promo for a TV show. If you don't have the Wikipedia page in shape first, you're not going to educate people. That's where people should be focusing.
I couldn't agree more.
People can criticize me. They can come at me. I don't care. I'm going to stand by my words. I want them to prove me wrong. If they are doing something that is more of an outreach than what Wikipedia can offer, then please prove me wrong.
Whenever you have that stats badger up and running, that would be proof enough, I think, for everyone to see how much of an influence this project can have and how important it is. So I'm really looking forward to see it. You did show me bits and bobs.
Yeah, it's out, but it's only in English right at the moment.
Yes.
But we can look at stats from other pages.
Yeah.
Non-English pages. We can do that now, but it's just individual.
It's
like
a lot of
how
work
many views does homeopathy get in Hungarian? Okay, we know that it's probably 30,000 views a month, something like that.
Not even that.
And there's no way that anybody's going to be able to write a brochure that's going to have the impact that a Wikipedia page would have on the general public.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's totally understandable. I mean, I personally did join Guerrilla Skepticism Wikipedia for that very reason, that I realized how important Wikipedia is in educating the public. The only thing that I regret about, if there is one, about starting this podcast, that I I have even less time to edit Wikipedia since then. But yeah.
But that's okay.
it.
That's okay because you're doing something different. It's a
Yeah.
different outreach because look, you've got me on and now I'm nagging the audience.
Yeah.
And that's a bigger thing because it's not, I mean, I could sit at home and edit Wikipedia on my own and I have my own little impact, but it's easier. It's better to train other people. It is better to get outreach. So what you're doing with this podcast is as important as you sitting and editing a Wikipedia page. In fact, it's more important. What you guys are doing is more important than just singly sitting at home editing Wikipedia because your outreach is stronger and you're pulling people in who can hear the message that this is what we should be doing.
Yeah.
Thanks for saying that.
So yeah, don't be kicking yourself for not getting that Wikipedia page in order because you're helping to teach other people that this is important.
Yeah, but it feels so good to publish a Wikipedia article that you
Oh, yes.
wrote up
Oh my
on
God.
your own. That's an amazing feeling.
It is.
So I think on that note, we have to end this conversation. It's been super fun having you on. And I think we really owe you a great debt for bringing us together. So thanks very much.
I love you all. I love you all.
Thank you, Susan.
I miss you. I can't wait to see you again. You need to find some conferences that are going to invite me to get over there so I can go attend them.
Well, we actually all gonna get together at QED in October, but I don't think you're gonna be able to.
No, I'm going to be at
Oh.
SciCon.
QED is 2 weeks earlier.
Yeah, get me invited to QED and I will be there. But I can't afford to go on my own, especially since I'm not going to be working after October.
All right.
But, please get me over there. I want to see you all.
All right. So if our listeners are hearing this, that's a challenge. Okay?
Get Susan to speak at other conferences. I will travel everywhere. And I'll speak Klingon to you or something.
And please spread the word about guerrilla skepticism on Wikipedia and editing Wikipedia for skeptical purposes. And to Susan Gerbic, I'd like to say thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susan. It's been great.
You guys are awesome.
Goodbye.
All right. Bye.